Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Test Those Breasts podcast. I am your host, Jamie Vaughn. I'm a retired teacher of 20 years and a breast cancer thriver turned staunch, unapologetic, loud supporter and advocate for others, bringing education and awareness through a myriad of medical experts, therapists, caregivers, and other survivors. A breast cancer diagnosis is incredibly overwhelming with the mounds of information out there, especially on Dr. Google. I get it. I'm not a doctor, and I know how important it is to uncover accurate information, which is my ongoing mission through my nonprofit. The podcast includes personal stories and opinions from breast cancer survivors and professional physicians, providing the most up-to-date information at the time of recording. Evidence, research, and practices are always changing, so please check the date of the recording and always refer to your medical professionals for the most up-to-date information. I hope you find this podcast a source of inspiration and support from my guests. Their contact information is in the show notes, so please feel free to reach out to them. We have an enormous breast cancer community ready to support you in so many ways. Now let's listen to the next episode of Test Those Breasts. Well, hello, Crystal. Welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
Hey, Jamie. Thanks for having me. I'm great. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm just really excited because to my audience, if you haven't listened to the episode with Crystal and Courtney from Perky in San Antonio, you've got to go back and listen to it. I'll put it in the show notes so you can go back and listen because these two ladies are amazing. And I have Crystal back on the show to talk about her nursing and what she is incorporating in Perky. But Crystal, before we get started, I would love for you to share with the audience who you are, what brought you to this space and into what you're going to be or are already doing at Perky.
Of course. Well, I'm Crystal Yang. I'm a registered nurse and now a board certified nurse coach. One of the founders here at Perky in San Antonio, Texas. And Perky is a safe space for all affected by breast cancer. We've been offering restorative tattooing, like 3D nipple tattoos after women have had mastectomy and breast reconstruction. We also offer scar camouflage, eyebrow micropigmentation, anything that our tattoo pen could offer to a breast cancer survivor, we try to offer it. But we understand that there's more healing that is needed for a breast cancer survivor and survivorship. So that's why I was inspired to go get my board certification in nurse coaching, just to help survivors take back control of their health and well-being, their lifestyles, and have a more flourishing survivorship journey.
Yeah, and that is so important because so many people do not know that after your treatments, after you are considered to be cancer-free or no evidence of disease, or that we just sort of get back to our lives and everything is just honky-dory. So why not just, jump into that and have no problem? But we know that that is just not what happens. And everyone's different, of course, right? So everyone handles their life very differently. Some people do not handle it well at all. Some people appear to handle it well. So to have this kind of service just seems like such great therapy as well. And I will tell the audience that your medical spa that you have is so welcoming. It's, the decor is amazing. You make it feel so good when you go in there. And I've been in there twice now, so I know.
Well, thank you. And yeah, we just expanded a room. We called it the Thrive Room. And we'll be using this room specifically for the nurse coaching, just to have, an extra safe space, an environment where women or anyone impacted by breast cancer can feel comfortable to get vulnerable and talk about those topics that maybe you've never spoken to another human being about, like intimacy after breast cancer or survivor's guilt. There's so many hot topics and common things that arise in survivorship that you never expected to have to endure. And a lot of times there might be shame or guilt addressing it. And maybe your medical doctor or, your nurse at the oncology, they're so busy. They don't have time to address those topics with you, and maybe they don't even know how.
Right.
So,
Right.
to be able to form a really vulnerable, intimate partnership with a nurse coach to where you can address those topics in a safe space at your own pace,
Mhm.
that's what nurse coaching is about.
Well, and I feel like one of those things is this whole idea of loss of identity after treatment. That is absolutely what happened to me. Spent 20 plus years as a school teacher in the middle and high school, and I was so busy. I was Mrs. Vaughn. I was very known in our community and I was busy. I was a multitasker. I was very articulate. I spent all this time and then I retired. And that is when I found out about my diagnosis 1 week after my retirement party. And so by the time I became cancer free after I'd had my first mastectomy and another major surgery, I really, really went into a deep, dark space and could not get out of it. Like I had lost my identity. Like, who was I? Because before I was going to go into retirement with another podcast to support educators, like struggling teachers. And I have a podcast out there with like 15 episodes on it. Right. And that's what I was going to do. And that all went to the wayside when I got my breast cancer diagnosis. So I'm sitting there in February, almost a year after my diagnosis, thinking to myself, who am I? And so if I were to reach out to somebody like you or find out about someone like you, how would that work? What would a typical consultation look like? What would a typical session look like? How do you gather that information from people and help them move forward?
Yeah. Well, in your scenario, you had a few shifts, like the retirement plus then the diagnosis. So it was multifaceted in your scenario. But a consultation with us for nurse coaching usually would involve a discovery session first, and that can be virtual or in person. And that's where we would kind of go over the nitty-gritty of what nurse coaching is, what it isn't, what to expect, sign the contracts, reinforce the fact that you are the authority of your health and well-being, not me, not any of your care team, you. So it's up to you what you're going to get out of coaching. I'm here to authentically listen to you and to ask you deep questions that's going to get you to self-reflect on your life and things that you need to find an opportunity to work on. But I think that's one of the main components is acknowledging that the client, the survivor, is the one that's in charge. You're the one driving the car. We're just there for support. And then if agreed to get into a coaching agreement, then appointments may be once a month, maybe twice a month. That's kind of up to you and how much you need the accountability aspect of coming in for sessions. Those can be 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes if you really wanted. Um, and then we would just, through communication and through that self-reflection, we would find different opportunities that you have in your life to create positive change. Different topics, maybe you're wanting to address a relationship issue that you're having. Maybe it's more of a physical health, nutrition, exercise regimen. Maybe it's how to navigate the side effects from a medication. We can chat through that. So there's so many different things because health is so multi-dimensional.
Mhm.
The term health, we think of health and we think of, okay, do I have normal blood pressure? How's my glucose reading? But no, actually, we're spiritual beings. So we have spiritual needs, we have mental, emotional needs, social relationship needs and desires. So there's so many different categories of health that we need to make sure are being fulfilled so that you will feel fulfilled and prideful in who you are.
I love it. So I assume then that because there are so many different topics that people come in with, that you have some partnerships with other medical providers, therapists, things like that in your area, or how does that work? Like if somebody needs, you know, coaching on sexual, like
intimacy needs. Um, Perhaps they need to figure out that vaginal atrophy or something like that. Do you recommend people to go to certain people that you're partnered with?
Absolutely, great question. So, nurse coaching, part of it is knowing what is in my lane and what's outside of my lane, and then utilizing resources if something, for example, if someone genuinely needs a psychiatrist or, a therapist versus a coach, because coaching is great for someone who is ready for change. So, that's something that I'm looking out for during our initial conversations
Okay.
is the type of change talk is what you call it, you're speaking. So are you in like a pre-contemplative phase where you're still like, no, I can't do that because I have 5 kids and they take up all my time. I can never, fit in a workout regimen. Or are you more like, no, I can do that. I think I can start implementing that. So there's different phases of change. So that's what I'm looking out for as a coach. But then if you have like a actual mood disorder needing medication, that's where we would seek a therapist, psychiatrist. And then if a medical issue arises, definitely we would look out for resources and a referral base to send patients to upon their request.
You say that the ideal person to come into Perky for the nursing program are people who are ready to be coached. Like they are sick and tired of probably where they're at, and they want to come in and they need that direction. What does a typical session look like? Like when they're already in, they've already had the consultation, they come in. What does that look like?
One of the main things we want to do and ensure when you're in a coaching session is make sure the environment is right and that you're in the right mental space, emotional space. So, something we may always start off with is maybe speaking some words of affirmation or going through a meditation or an imagery practice, really allowing you to get into that creative mind space and be calm and open open to being vulnerable and speaking and open to that change that you're wanting. Well, every session will be based off of what the client wants to address. So, say they're really wanting to work on their marriage. So, we would bring up that topic and then through reflective and motivational interviewing and inquiry on my end, we would help get information out of the client information that maybe she didn't even realize, thoughts she didn't realize were there, and then reflecting on them, maybe writing them down using different techniques to reflect on what's coming out during this session for her to then further dissect and realize what truly needs to be worked on with the topic of marriage. We can figure out different tools like journaling, for example, if we need to utilize that as a tool to help her further reflect. And then we can create reasonable, realistic action plans and SMART goals. We always want to create a goal and then action plans on how to achieve the goal. That's what coaching is about. So figuring out her strengths and her weaknesses, barriers, things that can get in the way of achieving that goal. And we're mindful in all of that when we're creating an action plan to achieve that goal.
I love that. And then you send them probably home with some little homework, right? So when they come back, they reflect on any kind of tools that you gave to them, come back, talk about if that worked or not, and all of that. Is there ever a time where you're able to speak to, like if it's a relationship problem, speak to both people?
Absolutely, yeah. If the client asks, like, hey, next time, can I bring my significant other with me because I really think they need to be here for us to work together? Absolutely. That would be at the client's discretion.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool because sometimes I think that having both people sitting in the room so that the other person can hear, like really hear what the person is saying. I'm a huge
Right.
fan of therapy. And so I think this is a really great service that you have. Do you have any reviews that people have given you?
Things that I've heard is that it's just amazing to be authentically heard. So many times we don't feel heard or seen, or we're not comfortable to be vulnerable talking about certain topics. So just the fact that they felt seen and heard was everything.
Mhm. Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. Because I think a lot of people feel that they are not seen or heard. And then sometimes when they actually say something to another person, like their significant other, they're being too emotional, they are overreacting, they're really not feeling the way that they are saying that they're feeling. So to be able to go in and talk to someone like you, I'm sure is very reassuring to them.
Yeah, it's really hard to get to talk about these things with someone you're really close to. It can be intimidating and maybe just not the right environment. Sometimes you need an outside third party to discuss sensitive topics to avoid biases being brought into the conversation.
Yeah, I like that. So, how do people find you?
Yes, you can find us. Well, our website is helloperky.com. And under our services section, we do have nurse coaching. So you could go to the nurse coaching page and learn more about what nurse coaching is. And at the very bottom of the page, you could click on book now to book your initial discovery session. You can find us on social media at We Are Perky. And I'm ready. I'm all ears. I'm ready to listen to all of your stories and to help you thrive after breast cancer.
Yeah, and I love that you can do it online too. So if somebody's not in San
Yes.
Antonio, they can do it online. One question I did have, I know that sometimes insurance covers certain services. Is this one of them? I know with the 3D nipple tattoo stuff, you get a sheet of paper that you turn into your insurance and you can get reimbursed if
Mhm.
your insurance is nice enough. Is this one of those as well? Or is this you just pay for it and concierge?
Yeah. Great question. So you can definitely use HSA or FSA funds for nurse coaching at Perky. And it's going to be similar to the 3D nipple tattoo where you're trying to file for insurance reimbursement. They are navigating getting this as a covered service. Like they've created the CPT codes for nurse coaching, but it's still in the process. It's still in the making of it. So as of now, it would still be the reimbursement route or utilizing your medical funds, your HSA or FSAs.
Okay, good to know. So, what would you say to a survivor listening right now who feels really stuck and disconnected and unsure what healing looks like after cancer? What would you say to them?
That you have the answers to all of the questions that you have about your healing inside of you. You're just unaware and you need someone to listen to you to get it out, to get those answers out, to help you have that reveal. You're so worthy of feeling good in survivorship. You're definitely capable of it. So just spending the time and investing in yourself and your health and well-being from your emotional, your mental health, all the way down to your physical health. It all matters and you're worth it. And I'm here. There's many other people out there, but we're here to help you.
I love that. So, are you sitting in your area where you do your sessions?
I am. You can see my three thrivers behind me.
Love it. Yeah.
I love
So, I
them.
mean, this will be on YouTube as well. So, those people who want to see what's behind Crystal, you can get on YouTube and check that out. Well, I am just super thrilled that you have put this together. And that is another great service that you provide for breast cancer patients and survivors. Is there anything that you would like to say before we wrap up today?
I'll give you our Perky tagline: survive, revive, thrive.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Crystal. I appreciate your sharing this today. And to my audience, I really appreciate your tuning in again on this episode of Test Those Breasts. And we will see you on the next episode. Bye for now. Friends, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Test Those Breasts. I hope you got some great, much needed information that will help you with your journey. As always, I am open to guests to add value to my show, and I'm also open to being a guest on other podcasts where I can add value. So please reach out if you'd like to collaborate. My contact information is in the show notes. And as a reminder,
Rating, reviewing, and sharing this podcast will truly help build a bigger audience all over the world. I thank you for your efforts. I look forward to sharing my next episode of Test Those Breasts.